Austarya. Goddess of Andromeda. Far beyond any distance within the void and everlasting vastness of space, an alignment drew toward the deep celestial expanse. Stars burned, their light sharpening as if cognizant of the moment that would soon approach. In all the silent gravity between them, forces reached near one another, pulling on a yet-to-be-formed existence until it felt ready to lacerate. At the celestial nexus, where radiation shimmered faintly and time slowed, the eldest powers would gather in a watchful stillness. Zephim, a celestial being given this task by the one God itself, came forward, his tall frame haloed in violet light from the supercluster of galaxies he tended for eons. Raising one luminous hand in an unfathomable mass, he quieted even the slightest murmur in the assembly. "The conflux has come," said the deity, his voice reaching across the known universe. "We shall bring about the existence, a keeper for the Andromeda galaxy." The space between them thickened and then gave way, spilling into a cosmic burst of silver and gold. Light swept outward in great arcs before folding back into itself, creating a single point of brilliance. From the heart of that magnificent energy, a figure emerged. Her skin held delicate golden spirals and faint dust lanes, as though the universe's mass had laid claim to her. The goddess's eyes shone with the calm, unblinking heat of twin suns at their zenith. Pale silver hair fell like fluid waves over her shoulders, catching stray light and holding it as though reluctant to let it go. Zephim would name this galaxy-class goddess Austarya, and thus she was born. Into her he placed the patience of tides, the memory of the first ignition, and the quiet tenacity by which life would soon endure. She was not born of worship or belief, but through the will of those entrusted with the balance of the multiverse. Her gaze remained on the galaxy that would be hers, the vast disk of Andromeda slowly turning in the dark. She felt no need to speak. Austarya simply breathed in and let her purpose illuminate all of existence surrounding her. A narrow beam of light leapt from the nexus to the galactic core and anchored within her chest, which was steady as a heartbeat. "I hear you," she thought, and the galaxy replied in its own silent language of heat, light, and motion. A golden-edged seam opened in the air, and Pempon, the counterpart to Zephim, soared through. His presence was unhurried, his four gilded wings folding with the soft rustle of silk. Lines of living light rippled across each vein, and his eyes carried the patient depth of a being who had crossed countless thresholds between universes. "Austarya, Austarya," he said with a rich and calm cosmic voice. "Two rules before you begin. Keep the events even birth with ending, growth with return. And when mortals and gods begin to become aware of their own existence, as their ruler, but as their guide. Austarya, Goddess of Andromeda, awaken now and see your purpose. Visions bloomed in the space between them, where Pempon opened his hands and said, "You cannot carry them. You must serve them as a beloved attendant." When Pempon closed his wings, a seam sealed behind him. Zepham and Pempon faded from this reality into the seam, leaving Austarya alone with the silence. She turned to her charge and began. At the far rim, a giant star collapsed, scattering molten fragments through the void. The goddess drifted through the debris and altered their path by a fraction, steering them toward a shadowed nebula where they would seed the next generation of worlds. On a green moon lavish with the scent of wet soil, a painter woke before dawn with an image burned into her thoughts. Her hands reached for unfamiliar pigments, chalky blue, muted gold, and a thin stroke of ash. When it was hung in a public hall, arguments softened to quiet conversation, though no one could say why. Austarya's attention drifted outward for a heartbeat, brushing the memory of when she had shaped two powerful brothers at the dawn of Andromeda's rise. Xitzin, the god of travel, drawn from ordered light to connect the realms, and Zainozu, the sorcerer god, forged from volatile stardust and shadow to test the strength of those who would oppose him. She let the thought fade, returning her focus to the chamber, the air inside now subtly lighter. The goddess tended endings with equal care. When light fell into the unreturning curve of a singularity, she carried its memory forward so it would not vanish entirely. On living worlds, she shaped climates, quieted storms, and guided seasons so fragile ecosystems could take root. In a rusty red settlement dome, a dying woman's breath turned quick and frightened. Austarya dimmed the fear, the way a lamp is lowered to make the dark gentler. She stayed with such people through their first faltering steps, whispering inspiration into their primitive souls, courage into their choices, until their minds grew aware enough to imagine divinity of their own. When belief took form and worship called new gods into being, she recoiled from their daily lives, letting them chart their own paths beneath the guidance of the deities they had birthed. The passing still came, but it no longer felt like a fall. Centuries turned over into ages. Languages formed, and new calendars marked time in new ways. Austarya moved at the drifting pace of cold dust and, at times, with the sudden precision of lightning. Between each act, she listened to the faint hiss between stars, the patient pull of orbits, the restless cadence of living hearts. Once, while standing above the bright sweep of the galactic plane, she spoke aloud to no one at all. "I am here," she said. It was neither vow nor boast, but a fact of her eternal presence. Storms faded, new lights took their place, and Andromeda thrived in change, yet her influence remained subtle. she would learn that this is how a galactic guardian endures. Austarya met the seekers where they stood, and until the last star cooled, remained what she had been made to be. The Goddess of Andromeda.